Welcome everyone to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is making connections through music with the intention of creating peace, harmony, coherence, a better world, whatever we can do. And really delighted to be able to have this conversation today. I'm interested to hear what our guests will be talking about. Renaud Ruhlmann, correct?
Yes. Hello, Jefferson.
Hello. Thank you for being on the program here. We're connecting via Zoom from, I'm not in Nepal. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area in the U.S., and Renaud is in France. We're in France?
East of France. It's like the beautiful part, Franche-Comté. It's like cheese land. We make like the best cheese in France here, and we are close to Switzerland.
Oh, great, great. So we'll have to come visit.
Yes.
So how we got connected is we had a program just recently we called Music, Mushrooms, and Mycelia, or as Rain Grant suggested, it could be fungi and frequency. And Eileen McCusick was one of the people on the panel, and you know Eileen, and so you followed up and said, hey, and I said, well, hey, let's do a podcast conversation. And I think it's fair to say this will be about sound and plants would be part of the conversation. But if you don't mind, if you could just tell me a little bit, I know you're a musician and you've been involved in music for a long time before you're doing this current gig. So how did music come into your life? Where were you? How old were you? What instruments were you playing? Just tell us a little bit about, how music tapped you on the shoulder and what your trajectory was in music for a while there.
I'm a special case because like nobody play music or listen music really in my family, and I was kids like 14 years, and I was like watching MTV, like the video clips, and you want like not to be a rock star, but you want to play an instrument and making a band. So like my thing at this age, he was like to playing guitar. So it's 30 years now I play guitar. At first it was electric guitar. And like, yes, it was because I was listening radio to have fun, to listen like at this time it was like Nirvana or like more stuff like Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, and it was like to have like things to express my emotion at this time. So that's why I starting with like guitar and like more rock and metal bands. And just after a while to discovering different music, because like music for me it's like food. Like you try rock music, it tastes good, but after when you start to listen jazz music, you have like some really good stuff, like chocolate stuff. So you want to try more, and like you have like different parts on the jazz. You have bebop, hard bop music, you have like all these fusion from the 70s, like with like Mahavishnu orchestra. You can mix rock and jazz music. So like for me, it's like pastry. You want to try lemon pie. You want to try, so it's like tasty. So you want to open like all these good flavors in, but it sounds. So like for me, it was, yes, like to open like the bakery. Oh,
Oops.
we missed.
Let's see. Are you still on there? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know why it's cut, but it's like a bakery. You open and you have like all these flavors and you try it. So that's why I love music, because at first for me it was just to listen some stuff I wanted to copy or like to try, like to express myself, to make tribute and cover music, and after to open to have your own sensibility, to make improvisation and like to play what you are inside.
Hmm. Oh, well, it's fabulous. I'm a little bit envious because that was not my youth, and I started music very late, and I'm not as much of an explorer as you are. But so then you were in bands, and you still play music, and but you at what point did you kind of start with this looking into more beyond music with sound? At what point did you start looking into those things that led you to what you're doing now?
So it's like with the technology, like at the end of no, the beginning of the 20, like 25, 26 years ago, it was like the first machine to record on hard drive or to have like the digital
Mm.
possibilities. So we start to use computers to record and like to understand how we can making do-it-yourself recording, but after all we can explore sounds and not making only music like rock, pop, and like all this frame of music, but more exploring like experimental music, kind of Philip Glass, Keith Rowe, Charlemagne Palestine, like all this area of experimental musicians, and to open the door of like sounds more than music. Because when you use like pedal effects, like I'm a guitarist and I love to have different effects. With the analog, you have like a lot of different possibilities to filter and change the sounds. And after, it's how you use it to modulate and to have like different texture. So like for me, I see more, and I use seeing sounds with colors, and like you have different sounds making different type of color. It's like a rainbow, a sound rainbow, sounds
Is that is
experimentation.
are you saying that's what you perceive or see, or that's just what you through your
It's
experimenting?
yeah, it's synesthesia. So
Oh
after, it's
yes.
how
Oh,
you feel sounds.
yes, yes. I have a friend. We've done some conversations about that. It's fascinating. So I won't ask what color I am or anything, but it's a real gift. It's a real gift. So you just started more and more experimenting with sound, and tell us more about that.
So after, I had several bands to experiment like in local. Not we are not like famous band, but it was like really good to make different gigs with one band called Experimental Karma System, EKS. We made like more than 100 uh, show, and it was like half like structure and improvisation. And it was really interesting to see, like with the mood, with the people, how you can change the structure of one of your song, and like if, with the mood. And like what is interesting with the color, we have blues music, and blue, it's a color. And like the pentatonic, when you play like the scale for blues, you have like this mood. It's like this color. It's inside like this pattern, this scale. So after, it's how you open that to see like the warm part, like the major scale, minor scale. It's more to have like sadness or melancholia. So you can find like the different flavors or colors of the scale you can use to have different variation into your music.
So you're like kind of like playing color almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, it's fascinating, fascinating.
So that's why for me, like music, it's interesting, but sometimes it's block people to play music because, like in the consciousness of people. You need to have school with like a teacher. You need to know like solfeggio. You need to read like this language and everything. And now, because like music, it's intuitive. Like the thing to like singer, it's like the best instrument because you have like your inner instrument with you all the time. After to play different instruments, you need to learn. But like in France, I have a special friend, Marc Vella. It's the nomad pianist. He made like 4 times the turn of the world with a piano, and he have like different gigs with like the monks in Tibet. They
Wow.
help him like to bring like the piano to Tibet or to play with different animals in Africa,
Wow.
like with wolves. I think one time, but it's how you have like this intuitive part, and he say it's not about like the notes, it's about like the emotion. And when you have like the good intention or emotion, you don't make wrong notes because like you put your heart and like your harmony. So after music is that it's about like more your intuitive way to express yourself by sounds. And it's
Mhm.
not about velocity or like big skills to show you are like a big talented musician. It's more how, when and where you put like the right sounds to express what you have inside. So that's for me, like after making music, cover, writing like composition and making different bands, it's finding why different sounds express and like change like emotion. Like when you heard Tibet bowl, different gong, like you have like the tambourine and different things. Sometimes you have just one sounds and can change like a lot of stuff inside you. So that for me was like this traveling, this journey into music. It was beginning with like mainstream stuff, but my inner child was like digging more to find like the essence of sounds.
Mhm. And then where did that lead you, and how did you end up heading toward this sound with plants?
So that it's like the crazy story because I play music since 30 years. During 13 years, I was analog photographer for the music industry. So I have Hasselblad, I make medium format, and I have my lab to develop like old analog films. And like all these people to taking photo for this industry, it was like I was puking sounds of music because like I know a lot of stuff behind the curtains and like behind the business. So I was making like a retreat, and during 3 years I were in Guatemala and Mexico to see like more the connection with nature. I have helping to make a chocolate factory in Guatemala, but during this journey, I was more connecting with like the jungle and like the nature parts. And on this journey, it's the cacao tree calling me, and like it was amazing because I was in the middle of nowhere, no electricity, so no internet, no phones, nothing, and you have like the real Wi-Fi and like the real connection, this bio communication, interspecies communication coming back, and like it's the true nature calling back.
Mm.
I was like feeling something weird here, like cold and warm sensation where when I was thinking to the cacao, and more I was practicing that, I was feeling it was the cacao talking to me with like this connection. So step by step, I was to sing with like people there to understand how they communicate with plants. As we know, like one of the special famous is ayahuasca, for example. We have like greatest, like in the south of America, the strongest medicinal plant is the tobacco from Peru, Nicotiana rustica. And like this kind of plant, it's reveal like the psyche. For example, tobacco is not a psychedelic, but it's psychedelic plants reveal like the psyche and open subtle doors to understand the vibration, the communication into living beings and everything. So that it was for me a reveal, because it was a confirmation to the feeling to talking to animals and plants. So it was really interesting to have like this journey, because just after like this talk with the cacao tree, some people invite me to have a ayahuasca ceremony. So like for me, after that, it was obvious to have like this strong connection, as a lot of tribes, native tribes in South America, in Africa, talking like it's Icaros. Icaros is some talks, singing with like plants, and like we have like this possibility to interact with all the living. We just love this kind of possibility, because now we have like different technology, and they say like white people is so smart. We don't need like all this primitive connection. We have the Wi-Fi now, Bluetooth. It's like the modern stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but we have like this connection, this real connection, strong, and we have more and more people now in the Occidental world to go learn, practice, and study to understand this interspecies communication, and understand how we have these capacities to learn with our brother and sisters, animals and vegetables.
Wow. Well, there's so much that you've done there, and I applaud you for being open to all this. And I don't can't say that in my life I felt like, oh well, I feel that tree, or I can talk to my dog or whatever. But from so much learning, I've come to the feeling, the belief that this is really true. We mentioned earlier. I mean, you know Eileen McCusick, and I met Eileen through Victor Wooten, and at his Spirit of Music camps, he has animal communicators, and so it is something that seems out there, and one of the things the animal communicators say is we all have this ability. We've just sort of lost it. And so, my goal in life is not to talk to monkeys or anything specifically, but it is to be open to whatever I can do. And having these conversations is just really amazing, and getting to learn about people like you and what you're doing. So, could you tell us a little bit more about the plant specifically and what you what you do? Are you working on some experiments, and are you writing papers? Are you doing recordings? What are you doing these days with plants or animals? But I think plants is kind of your focus.
Yeah, we make interspecies, but my thing it's more plants. So I have made like in 2019 the first sound herbalism. With some device we can make sonification. So that part is interesting, because like this science part, it's based on the polygraph of Cliff Baxter. He was working in the 60s, 70s for the CIA.
And this
He
is
was working,
the secret life of plants, right? He wrote that. I wrote that. I read that back in the 70s. I just didn't know. Go ahead.
and like on this part, it's really interesting, because in 66, like the 2 February, it was the first confirmation, like in his lab, to have interaction with a plant, because he was like making different stuff with the polygraph. He plugged it into a plant, and he was in his south. And during like these different ideas, he was thinking, what could be like the reaction of a plant if I burn a leaf? And like instantly, the plant reacted on the polygraph. So it's like telepathia or psychokinesia, like it's like this connection with like the thoughts of like the vibration, the inner vibration. And like plants and animals feel that. We have a lot of documentation, scientist documentation on animals. When like you have your animals and you are like just drinking with your neighbor, or like 10 100 kilometers ago of your animal, when you have the feeling you want to going home, the animal feel it.
Mm.
It's instantly. It's like the real Wi-Fi. We have
Right.
like this connection with like all the humans, but with animals and vegetables too. And that it's interesting because after the CIA stuff, Cliff Baxter was working with Art Math Institute. It's in California, and they make like all the scientific studies about the heart, and they validate like the thing we can connect it in kilometers, human and human, with animals and human and stars and planets, because we have like different compatibilities, vibration. We are connected with like all the cosmos. We have like
Mm.
all these different frequencies and sounds, and like thanks to the plants, now we understand like this possibility to understand like the symphony of life. And like this symphony, it's like this universal music from our cells and molecules, because life understand like the frequency of calcium, magnesium, copper, gold, and like all the minerals, and like the periodic tab of the element. We have like all this quiet symphony. It's vibrate everywhere inside us, like all the time. And like with the plants, they don't talk, they don't have chords, hearts, brain, but they are conscious. And what is interesting is this quiet consciousness. They reveal like this secret of harmony of life. And like by sounds, and like with this kind of device, I have finished like more than 1 years ago with the High School of Engineer in Geneva, Switzerland, a device like that to validate the measurement of electrophysiology signals. So the biochemistry of a human body or plant, because we work the same. Like we have like some kind of symphony inside, and when you can listen it with this kind of device, you listen like this symphony of life. You listen your own magnesium, copper, and like all the molecule of life vibrate inside you.
So, are you saying that I could get I don't know if it's like a record, a recording of some sounds, and they would be sounds that you have, um, I guess, hooked up or whatever, so that you could hear. You'd be hearing part of the symphony. You might hear a little gold. You might hear a little, um, some plants, some spices, pepper or lavender or something like that. And so that's what you're putting together, and people can listen to it. You can identify, and you can think, oh, this is the sound of lavender, and that's the sound of a rose. Or is that, am I kind of getting it a little bit?
Yeah, we can make a blind test with like the sounds and like the talk of different plants, because they have a signature. And that it's interesting because it's like accent. Like in France, for example, like people on the north and the south, they don't spell the same. And like in US, you have like different accent too, different spelling. And like on the same family, you have mint and sage, for example. And you find when you record like a part, it's quite similar, because like on the properties, molecular properties, you have like these roots, like the same roots. So when you record, you have like this kind of pattern. So that it's interesting, because like nature, it's so perfect inside. You can find like this different pattern of life. Like it's like the golden number, you know, like into into nature you have like special numbers, and like this one it's irrational number. You have like this infinite number behind like the decimal, and it's because like this kind of number into nature making spiral. It's never ending. It's always making construction, or to have like a possibility to construct, to build life. So that it's interesting because thanks to this consciousness of plant and like this study of sounds and this harmony of music with plants, we understand plants don't make music. They share like this symphony of life, these molecular activities. And thanks with quantum physics and like it's a famous equation by Albert Einstein, the E equal mc2, we can have access to, from a part, it's the mass, the physical world, and the other way, it's the frequency world.
Wow.
And the E, it's energy. We can calculate and to have like the frequency of a molecular mass. And that it's 30 years, like people calculate like a different frequency of molecules. Or like in Switzerland, we have a specialist, Hans Cousteau, and he had calculated in 77 the frequency of planets. So, for example, the 136.1, some people say it's like the heart chakra we use in tuning forks. It's Hans Cousteau calculates like this frequency. And I have meeting this guy 4 years ago in the cannabis event in Bern in Switzerland, because some people invited me to making talking the tobacco from Peru, because it's a special friend called Jeremy Narby, an anthropologist. He wrote the book The Cosmic Snake like 25 years ago about ayahuasca. And I have special seeds from this tobacco from Jeremy, and it was the cannabis event, so people wanted to listen the cannabis. And I have meeting Hans Cousteau, and like in the research, I asking how you had the idea to calculate the frequency of planets. And with a big smile, he told me, it's not me, it's the mushrooms.
The mushrooms
And
told him.
yeah, and at this time, like for me, I never eat mushrooms, and I have working collaborate with a foundation in Switzerland, ALPS, Awareness Lecture on Psychedelic Science. So they work with 6 different hospital to make clinical tests legal in Switzerland with DMT, psilocybin, and MDMA. So it was really interesting because I had like during 2 years connection with like all these experts of psychedelic plants to understand like the capacities of this plant to awake a part of our skills, and how we can connect it to this subtile and to talk with animals and plants. Because a lot of people saying with LSD and all this special molecule, it's opened these doors of perception, you know. So after, for me, it was how they record it like with science. And after, like me, I'm the first to ask to make trials with the talk of plants. Like for the mushrooms, it's how you can listen them and talk to the mushroom with this kind of device. And we have like really good feedbacks because you speak with the conscious of the plant, and you have like the sound in feedback, and it's real communication. So that it's really interesting because like for me it's to make the difference with like music, because it's human and you can express like different emotion, and we can share different feelings and emotion. So that it's great. But with this understanding of frequency and precise frequency, we can mix like this conscious of music, but like with right frequency to use for health purpose. So we can use, for example, the dopamine, melatonin frequency because it's like the laws of resonance. And now with like this understanding with the quantum physics, we can use like this right frequency. So that's why like plants don't make music. They talk this symphony of life, and it's like molecular activity. So it's not A, B, C notes. It's magnesio, calcio, or like when you need like to make an harmonization for your sleeping cycle, they can activate and stimulate neurotransmitters like melatonin and different part. And for that, it's really serious because I come from music and I'm don't a scientist first. Now I'm an independent researcher, and what it's incredible, like the plants understand us like in the molecular level. And all the time when you go into forests, into different part of nature, they are like good people. They always want to support us, and that's why sometimes you have the feeling to go to a tree and to hug or just to touch it, because like you have this biocompatibility. It's biochemistry. It's like the real love. It's original love making like this
Mhm.
process to make it like the real happiness.
Wow, there's so much there. Uh, I let's see in well, now I forgot what I was. Oh, when the Sufis talk about having a keynote, so that each of us has it's kind of, I guess, like it's a vibrational fingerprint. But what I hear you saying is that different plants, trees, I mean, like everything has its own fingerprint. Everything is kind of individual, I guess. Although there's a book, The Silent Pulse by George Leonard. I don't know if you ever heard of that. And he talks about everything in the universe just has, it's a single fingerprint, but it's also connected like a hologram with everything else.
Mhm.
So that, I mean, it makes sense that there would be different vibrational signatures. That probably is very elementary for what you're saying. But you're saying if you go in the forest, I went down by the river this morning and walked, that the plants they have some awareness and know who we are at a molecular level, I guess, and welcome us as fellow travelers, relatives. Is that sound right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so how do you, when before we were going to do the program on music, mushrooms, and mycelia, I had been in contact with this person, Maiko Laiko, who was connecting wires to mushrooms and making the music. So is that different than what you're talking about? Because I mean, there seems to be this emphasis of, oh, listen to mushroom music or listen to, the music of tomatoes. But I guess it's not exactly music, and what is that compared to what you're talking about it, or is it the same thing? Is yours more on a finer level, more vibrational than just noise? I don't know.
So yes, it's kind of the same because like behind me I have a Eurorack device, and it's how we can like use this kind of instrument to give more expression to plant, because like
Mm.
the first device it's blocked on a tempered scale. So it's like from Italy, and like the first device the people wanted to listen music by plants into the garden. So they limit like the first device to understand, like to heard like a major scale or like a tempered scale. So they filtered like the signals of plant to have a melodious sounds. And Now you have like more people interesting to understand that, because we know like plants don't make music. And with like this kind of modular instrument, you have like famous name as Buchla, like in US, Mug, Robert Mug, making like a lot of stuff in the 70s. You have like Pink Floyd, for example, using this kind of modular instrument into a lot of composition. Jean-Michel Jarre too, and you have like this expression because you can control the current voltage. And it's not only one note, you can move like it's really, really precise. And when you put a plant into this kind of instrument, you have like the precise message of the plant and not a musical interpretation. So that's why it's more people trying to connect mushrooms or different plants with this kind of instrument, because you have like the precise signals and not an interpretation into notes. And you have like this harmonious things behind. So you can use, like for me, for example, I have different granular stuff to make organic pattern, but you can put like piano sounds and you have like a really melodious parts. Like 2 weeks ago, I had in my place a violinist, professional violinist, trying to talk with a body tree. Like it's a sacred tree from India.
Mm-hmm.
I was in India 2 years ago to record some sacred tree in India, and I have two body trees in my place. And like this violinist was making a duo with the tree, and when she feel like to change the scale, like instantly, like the tree was connected, but it was not by the sound, it was by the feelings, like Cliff Baxter, to understand like
Mm-hmm.
this changing of mood feelings. And when you have like professional musician like that, because she was playing with Queen of the Stone Age too, like famous band from US,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, you have like this improvisational part you can listen, and it's more communication and not music, because you have a message and you write back with sounds, so you listen like the plant and you can communicate by sounds. So that it's really interesting, because it's possible to tune and to filter to have music to play with musician and to have like this kind of frame, and after you can explore like the sounds and give more possibility to plants. So that's why for me it was like I was so happy to listen you last week to talk about music and mushrooms and mycelio, because like mycelio, it's like the connection, it's the world wood web, it's the
Yeah.
www of the nature. And when you understand like the power of mycelio, it's so huge. And like that's why we make a lot of study about mycelio and mushrooms, like with this kind of device, to understand like this primary perception. And when you understand like this part is always harmony to make like the equilibrium into life, when you translate it into sounds, you have like this kind of sweet music. It's not music, but it feel good. So like for us, it's like music.
So if you're, um, I don't know if I'm saying any of this right because you're like way over my head in terms of the technical part of it. But so lavender or sage or something like that, and when you're picking up somehow on their vibrational essence, maybe that's something different than just listening to this music of mushrooms and things on the internet. That is more a little bit made up to be like music. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you have like this possibility to make like really easy music with this kind of device, because you can choose like your notes and what you want to filter.
Okay.
But like me and different people, we don't want to filter and exploit it more plants. We want to have like the real message. So that's why we use like this kind of instruments. Or like, for example, in France, we have Serge modular. It's made by Serge Cherepnin. It's one of the oldest. In like 40 years, you do that. And like tomorrow, I go to make rehearsal with plants and like this kind of stuff with some friends. I'm like in different collaboration, and like this one, it's the Ethership, and it was created in San Francisco. It's Willard van de Bogert and Lemon de George. It's like they started in 72 to make interspecies biocommunication and to see how it was possible by sounds to communicate with whales or like extraterrestrial people.
Mm.
So it was really interesting. We made some different shows in France and in Paris in November with Lemon. And what is interesting, so we have like this different modular, and my friend are the first Serge modular who helped the whales with Paul Watson, and like the musician, he was Will Jackson, and they saved whales in 75 with this instrument. And we have like 50 years, we know we can interact with sounds with animals, like with this instrument,
Right.
or like now we dig more like with plants and to have like the reaction with plants. So that it's how we give like human instruments to the intelligence of plants to see like the different possibility to receive like this message, to understand like all these capacities to have like this sharing with the living. And like as you say before, we have like different people and friends talking with animals. Like we have like this possibility to talk with plants, and it's how music, it's the universal language. When it's harmony, we find like this equilibrium, and like plants reveal into this sound harmony these capacities to send pure love. And when we listen music, and when we receive like these groovy parts and like this voodoo part, as Roy told us, it's like this love, magic, pure magic. And we can explain it. It's just like we feel this harmony. And when now it's possible with technology to listen it, we understand it's there's this pure love, this pure life power. It's when we translate it into sounds, it's melodious, harmonious, and when we talk with professional musician, we can make music with that. So that it's
So,
good because it's a part of the secret of life. We have that inside us, and that's why I was like so happy to meet Eileen in October in Canada, because she made tuned forks. She understands so well like this harmony in the subtle, and that it's like the precise capacities, like the this radio possibility we have to transmit and emit vibration, and to have like this potentiometer to have like the right frequency to send feelings, but in the molecular level we can send like right reaction. It's bioresonance, it's the law of resonance. And we have people like Victor Schauberger, or um, like I was in the museum last week. Lakowski, George Lakowski, he made oscillators like a century ago. It's to understand like this possibility to communicate with the vibration of life.
so maybe you could respond to this. So here I am. I'm just a guy interested in some of these things, believing that in the things you're saying, and from my own perspective, feeling that this is very important for us, for humans, for life. So would I listen to something that you've um, recorded and you have somewhere on the internet or whatever to listen to different spices, or as you were talking about for sleep with the things like that. But would it be the case that the more that I would listen to whatever this is that you have, that you begin to hear more on your own? Do you know what I mean? Is that what you would like to see happen? Is that what you think would be good for humans to do? Is just sit and maybe get guidance from people like you who are putting these sounds together in a way that we can tell, oh, that's a tobacco or that's whatever, and that the more that we listen, the more we can perceive, hear the trees or the plants, and get the messages of, as you say, pure love or connection. Is that what you're working towards, something like that, so people can be more aware of these vibrations and frequencies?
Yeah. And sometimes I'm invited, like for example, last year, during 2 years, I was inviting in the International Day of Conscious in the United Nations in Geneva to talk about the consciousness of plants. And like 3 years ago, I was with the physicist Nassim Haramein. And like for me, it's to understand if we have like really crisis, like they say, like climate crisis, environment, like weather and everything, like it's all crisis. Maybe it could be nice to give some give a voice to nature, to not having like alarmist voices from humans, but to have like another possibility to understand what happened. And like plants don't have interest. It's always we put a polygraph on nature don't lie. So all the time, like the message we have from plants and trees, it's always wisdom. So
Mm.
that's why for me it was unique and special to like 3 years ago to be the first to go into the United Nations with an aloe vera, and he was the first vegetal speaker. So it
Wow.
was so nice because like people was like surprised, but like for me it was important to say if like the world is crumbling and like it's like the end with global warming and everything, maybe it could be nice and wise to give voice to nature and to understand what happened, and not having only humans talking. So we have a lot of people wake up on these parts
Hmm.
because we know, like since like the COVID crisis and everything, it's 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 some trouble or problems into our history and different things. So some different people want to understand what happened, take back some liberties, because we have like some rights, we have
Yeah.
divine.
Right.
So we are like animals and plants. We don't want to be exploited, but we want to be free and like to share like a good things with our brother and sisters. And that's why like to talk with plants or animals is important, because it open like these possibilities to make fertile collaboration for the humanity. So that's why, like for me, it's important to talk about like this part, bio interspecies in biocommunication, because it's a lot of times like people study it, making it like with more like art, and now we mix science and art to give a voice to plant and to understand like everything is right. It's more psychologic war. Now we try to put like people into fears, but like a lot of things, it's everything, it's okay. And like I can share like a good news, because we can have like some trouble with like the artificial intelligence, like in the like scenario case, like in a Terminator movie.
Hmm.
But now, because like plants are so conscious and intelligent, when we put them with some our device into internet or connected to an artificial intelligence, she can reset it, modify the code, or like control the AI.
Wow.
So that is good because like a fern, it's like 150 million years of knowledge on Earth. So we are so tiny when
Yes.
we see like the evolution of plants and how we can learn from them. And like with these harmonious parts to make music, because after it's how we see like the native tribe called like the rain or like to talk with the plant. We go back to the roots.
It's fabulous. Renaud, thank you so much. This is really it it makes me very hopeful. So anybody listening to this, and we'll put this out on the when we put out the podcast, your could you say the name of your I don't know what it is, company or business, and how to get in touch with you, and what sort of things we can, I want to listen to some lavender. I want to listen to some tobacco, learn what these things are about. How do I begin to learn more and experience it through what you're doing?
So that's why for me it's more like a community or collective project. So it's I need to live like everybody and like to pay some stuff, but like for me it's more a collective project, and I call that Naturasounds. And you have like the sound herbalism. We're gonna share the link because it's free and you can listen like all free, like all the plant. And
Yeah.
like for me it's this collective activity. More people gonna share that, more we're gonna have conscious people to understand, no, I'm not mad when I talk to my plants, I'm not crazy when I talk to my dogs. It's real and it feels good, and it's essential to talk and like to share like what we have inside to the outside world. So that's why like for me thanks a lot like to this time of sharing, because I was so loved to listen people talking in music and mushrooms at first. Last week I was like, well, yes, it's we have like conscious people to understand like the roots of sounds, vibration, and like this knowledge we can share to understand more like this living connection, this subtle connection. So that's why for me it's more citizen, uh, how we say, duty
Yeah, I like the
to
term.
share that, because it's a knowledge, and you can give that. And like for me, like more children gonna have the experimentation and this knowledge, more they gonna liberate, you know.
Yes.
It's more you have like this connection, less you are a slave, because you have like the native connection, and you know how you can ask to vegetal or animals, and not to be like dependent of the human system.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I learned so much from the book Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer and her perspectives on nature about being about reciprocity and gratitude and sharing. And so your idea of a collective effort is really wonderful, beautiful. Thank you for that. I'm in. I'm
We
in.
are all connected, so we are all brothers and sisters. And when you understand that, and you are me and me are you, it's when you have like this good possibility to teach and share good knowledge, we spread the words. And when words it sounds and it's so harmonious, it's pure love we spread.
Yeah, my friend with synesthesia, Patty, she says everybody is just beautiful notes, beautiful chords of music. And I also believe that there's no rights without responsibilities, and that if you want to be here and live and eat and love and enjoy, there are things you have to do to preserve that as opposed to break it down. So I'm right there with you. Okay, well, thanks very much. This has been a great conversation. I feel like we could just keep talking and talking, but we probably should stop at some point here. So, thank you so much for reaching out. It's been a great conversation, really taking it to another level for me and hopefully for some other people. And we'll just keep at our collective effort. So, thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you, and thank you for what you do too, because I was so amazed and so glad to see some people like you making this kind of conversation and dig more to understand like this pleasure we have when we play or listen music. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like chocolate. Like everyone needs to have like a piece of chocolate of music inside every home. So thanks a lot to spray this kind of incredible work. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. And I'll look forward to running into you in person sometime.
We're gonna see that.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.